Hi everyone and welcome to Art Uprising, the show where we explore how art is not just a form of entertainment or self-expression, but also deeply political. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the use of AI in film and the politics of creation. Our question of the day is, when AI tools are used in filmmaking, whose story is it really? From the massive 2023 Hollywood writer strikes to the recent backlash surrounding the AI actor Tilly Norwood, it's clear that the rise of AI in film isn't just a technical development. It's a cultural and political flashpoint that raises big questions about the concept of creativity, ownership, and the future of storytelling. Joining me in the studio today is Til Feuermeister. He's worked as both a film director and a creative director, and since 2005, he's been at the University of Applied Sciences Salzburg, where he leads the film department in the Multimedia Art program. For several years now, he's also been head of the entire Multimedia Art degree program. Hi, Til. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Of course. I think we're going to have a very interesting conversation. So, even though I tried to summarize your background and career so far, would you like to tell us more about yourself and what it is that you do?
Yeah, very briefly, because I think the topic is not me, but AI and art and filmmaking. So basically, I studied communications design. I started out with communications design at the University of Applied Sciences in Würzburg, where I encountered designers, typographers, and photographers. I focused on filmmaking, but got in contact with all the others as well. So I developed a love for typography, for design, photography, and so on. And from there on, I switched to the Film Academy in Baden-Württemberg, where I studied film, which gave me the opportunity to get to know all the other branches in the artistic expressions in filmmaking, like audio design, audio mixing, visual effects, animation, and so on and so on. And I finished there, and then I very briefly worked as an art director and a commercial director. I switched between narrative film and advertisement. I focused at the Baden-Württemberg Film Academy Baden-Württemberg on advertising film, which really taught me a lot, because advertising is the art of focusing on the essence of things, executing that pretty perfectly, because in 30 seconds until 60 seconds, nothing really goes away. So every second counts. And you learn to tell a story within 30 seconds, 60 seconds without any distractions, which then opens the door for also, I think, pretty good narrative, longer formats in a way. So that's my background. The thing why I emphasize that is that I really do have experience with designers, with typographers, with animation, 3D animation, visual effects, because I worked with all those people together coming from the advertisement film. Which gave me a big advantage, and also kind of helps me being the head of the Multimedia Art program, which also consists of not only film, but audio design and animation and game.
Okay, I see you have a very diverse background.
Yes.
Have you also made movies?
Feature length only wrote scripts.
Okay.
Because I had script writing at the university, and of course I did write some scripts. But basically I stuck to commercials and image films and some narrative shorts.
Okay. What kind of films are you interested in, or scripts?
Well, that depends. I mean, the range is from art films like Kieslowski, the Color Trilogy, for example, but also entertaining stuff like The Terminator or Catherine Bigelow's Strange Days, for example. So it practically boils down to two things: a story, a very good story, whether it's advertisement, image, or experimental film, and also a good visual storytelling, which you can learn a lot from, for example, Tarkovsky or Catherine Bigelow or Godard, Truffaut, and so on. Also the modern filmmakers like David Fincher or even James Cameron or Steven Spielberg. I mean, you must, I think that's my personal philosophy, you must not define something as bad just because you don't like it. So because like Ennio Morricone, for example, and his Once Upon a Time in the West, at that time probably was a big Western, but some people say, okay, that's not art. Or let's say the Terminator, the first Terminator from James Cameron actually was an action film, and not a criticism on society and AI and so on. But if you look closer now, or in hindsight, those films are totally different. So you have to have, if you want to be a filmmaker, you have to really have a big, huge love with cinematic storytelling, visually, and also a story as a storytelling, not just cheap tricks or something, but really good stories. Like Blade Runner, for example, is a good story.
I've watched this one.
one?
The first one.
The first one,
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Okay. With what you're saying just now, you're helping me move into this question that I wrote for you. What are some movies that you think truly define film as art?
Yeah, I have to start. I'm a little bit an older generation, so we grew up with television. So we didn't have the distractions, and we didn't have all the temptations of switching platforms and switching stories. So when I was kind of 10 or 12, I encountered, and this is really funny enough because I was not a very intellectual or whatever, just a normal teenager. I encountered the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, for example, an expressionist film. But it was so powerful visually, and it was so powerful from the story that I was totally mesmerized, as well as Metropolis, for example, the father of all science fiction films. You will find that in Blade Runner, in Ridley Scott's Alien, whatever. And then, of course, Tarkovsky, Stalker, which is actually a pretty hard movie to watch because it's pretty long and it's pretty philosophical. But the aesthetic that Tarkovsky uses, also Nostalgia, for example, is very overwhelming. Even though, again, me not being an intellectual, me actually being in pop culture more like a normal youth, a young guy, pretty stupid, still this totally convinced me, or totally mesmerized me in a way.
I don't think you have to be an intellectual in order to appreciate art. I think art is for everyday people, it's for everybody. So maybe you've answered this, but how is filmmaking an art form for you? And I want you to walk us through how does one express themselves through filmmaking?
Okay, so with filmmaking, you combine visuals and storytelling, and this is the most powerful tool that you have. Maybe besides audio storytelling, because we grow up with audio first in the mother's womb, so we start hearing before we start seeing, and audio. But again, also audio produces images in your head, so it always comes down to a visual story. We are bound to survive, and survival depends on that we see what's happening around us. This is why we are visual beings. First, maybe audio-visual beings. Okay, so film is the most powerful tool to tell stories because you can, with visual expression, you can create emotions in the viewer's heart and mind that nothing else can produce that much. I think, in a way, because you copy life in a way. Because film is moving images. This is exactly how you perceive the environment. A painting is something that is a still. You can take your time and you can watch and kind of try to identify with it. But with moving images, you always have the connection to your real life because you don't walk around with your closed eyes, except if you were blind, for example. Then the audio becomes more dominant. So filmmaking itself is kind of the combination of you as a filmmaker want to tell a story and you can transfer your emotions that you want to express to your audience in the most powerful way possible. That's my point of view.
Okay, I like it. What I keep from you is that filmmaking combines visual elements and audio elements,
Yes.
and also what makes it what makes it art is the fact that it makes us feel something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what do you define a good film? Like, what are some artistic tools or elements that you believe are essential in order to make a good movie?
Well, I don't like the word good because if you...
In your opinion?
Yeah, that's my opinion. Because now, even in my opinion, I know that Sound of Music exists, and I can understand why that's successful. But from my point of view, it's not good because I don't really, it's not my kind of film. I understand it and I watched it, of course, but it's not good. But that's just my point of view. So I'd say, okay, from my point of view, a film that is good or art that is good is that art that actually moves you, that you understand, and that gives you that transfers the emotion of the artist directly to you and manages to do that. Whether it's kind of an exhibition from Ninith, from Sherin Nesat, for example, who also worked in film, you know, Sherin Nesat, an artist who
I'm sorry.
has the issue of the Islam in many of her artworks, and pretty impressive. She does films and photographies and paintings and so on. There were some exhibitions at the Museum of Modern Art in Salzburg, by the way. So, and she manages to express what she wanted to say emotionally towards the audience. And if I maybe watch, I don't know, see a Giacometti sculpture, you know Giacometti? It's a person
please
who
don't
does
ask me
very,
anymore.
very thin sculptures. Actually, I'm kind of the role model also for H.R. Giger and some other horror filmers. A very famous Swiss sculptor. He does the very, very small, thin sculptures of humans, and they transport something, and it does something to you if you watch them. And for me, that is good art. I don't really like art that I don't understand and that makes me read things.
So you're into abstract.
Yeah, well, also abstract art does something to you. But if you, for example, take Beuys, Joseph Beuys, who has this myth about being shot down in the Second World War in Siberia and was saved by indigenous people using fat and this piece of clothing. And that's exactly what he uses then in his artwork. If you didn't know this story, which actually was false, by the way, it was just a marketing gag. But if you didn't know that and you saw a Beuys artwork, like a piece of fat on the wall, which actually was removed by cleaning services once in a while because they didn't know, then I think it's interesting and it's really thrilling if you read the
You have some
of the artist
context
before.
Yeah. Okay. So what part of the filmmaking process is the most exciting for you?
It's again also a personal point of view. First of all, the script writing, because there you can really see whether a story comes together or not, which doesn't give you a guarantee that the film works, by the way, because you are pretty subjective if you're an own script writer. I can say this because I once handed in a script for the day of the Salzburg film, and the concept was to read those scripts aloud. And I heard my script read aloud, especially the actors' dialogues, and they were so embarrassing. I was so bad. At the time I wrote this, and I was totally convinced it was fine. So the script itself is a very intense thing that I think is the basis of it all. And then for me as a director was the storyboarding, like Hitchcock said. Because if you storyboard, and I storyboarded myself, you start to film the film. Realize it, you do draw it, but basically you put all the images in your head together, which result from the script. So from my point of view, as a director, you have to storyboard.
Okay.
You don't have to be a very good artist. The storyboards can be pretty rough, pretty shitty. That doesn't really matter. But with the storyboard, as Hitchcock said, the film is already done. And for Hitchcock, for example, the filming process itself was totally boring because he already filmed the film. He drew the storyboards, and the film was done for him. And then he had to get along with those nervy actors and so on. He already did the film, so it was just an execution that he was not so fond of.
Okay. Let's move on today's topic, AI in film. For those who don't know, how is AI currently being used in film production?
Well, it's pretty much used in different stages. I mean, from script writing, starting script writing, because AIs can really compile scripts relying on already existing good scripts and so on. So people tend to, or the commercial world tends to check up with large language models to write scripts. The first thing, and then of course in the execution, visual effects. There was this Eternauta, this Argentinian science fiction film where they had a whole special effects section just done with AI. Nobody notices because humans were involved. There was a train coming off rail and crashing into a skyscraper or whatever. So in the execution, of course. And by now, also in the whole film process itself, not only visual effects, but the internet drowns in AI-created films, short films, little trailers, little expositions in a way, sci-fi scenarios, and so on.
And also in regards to actors, like lately there's been a lot of talk about Tilly Norwood, the world's first fully AI-generated actor. And I think several talent agencies are considering signing her. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, it was a hype because
Okay.
when people try to reflect and say, okay, what does it mean that an agency signs Tilly Norwood? I mean, they just get access to the software, and it's actually the same as if you go with Runway or Sora and create an actress. So it's not that special because Tilly Norwood is just another AI actress, and she's a template. And so it was more a marketing thing to promote or push the AI into the entertainment businesses as well, because you could see on the internet that it was kind of presented as a catastrophe for actors and so on, and the first step into apocalypse. It was...
There was huge backlash I saw, and like many actors.
But it was kind of also staged a little bit because they were really controlling this message.
But you don't think that AI actors will be part of films in the future?
It depends. This is the whole thing about AI. AI will kind of blow average out of the water. I mean, if you take like advertisement, where there are no actors but models. Models are supposed to look nice, look beautiful, walk around the scenery and say, that tastes good. You don't need method acting to sell a candy bar. So there's, for example, a German TV ad for detergent, Persil, for clothing. And there's a woman walking through the centuries, symbolizing that this detergent accompanied people through the whole centuries. And she walked through different milestones like the soccer world championship and so on. And this was totally done by AI, not perfect yet, but you don't need an actress for that. You just need somebody who looks beautiful. And beautiful meaning not with quirks, but kind of like a Barbie doll.
According to societal beauty standards.
Yes, exactly. And this is something that AI will take over. I mean, there's Mango. This is a clothing company who had their first totally digital campaign with digital models. Because in photography, those models just have to look nice. And they don't even have quirks or something. And they have to fulfill some temporary standards like not too slim, slimmer, maybe oversized, whatever. And this is exactly what those real-life models do as well. And in this case, the Mango campaign was one of the first worked because AI could replace those models pretty easily. But if it comes to acting, and this is a totally different thing, we are not there yet. Yesterday I watched a documentary about the actor studio. I'm a big fan of method acting. And in method acting, for example, just one example, which you really will have a hard time to make Tilly Norwood do the same. In method acting, you are supposed to rely on sense memory, meaning that if I, as a director, tell the actress, feel cold, a soap opera actress will say, I'm so cold, because she just fulfills the cliche. Cold meaning crossing your arms and say, I'm cold. You have to speak it out loud, of course, and so on. But method acting means go back into history and find a place where you really felt cold, felt cold, and then define very cold or you're just uncomfortable and so on. And you remember sometimes waiting for the bus, maybe, I don't know. And you were on your way to your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and the bus was late and you were freezing. And this emotion you transfer into your translation in I'm cold. And the method actor will do that and implement all the memories that he had before into this emotion that he shows.
What if AI at some point is so well trained that it can produce emotion like that?
Well, that's the point. In order to do that, you'd have to experience things. And we are talking about, right now we are at the stage of not even general intelligence, artificial intelligence. Artificial general intelligence means that the AI is as intelligent as humans. And from that point on, the competition between humans and AI means that the AI doesn't have to sleep, doesn't have to eat, and trial and error for 1,000 years, no problem. So the development from that point will be a lot faster in favor of the AI. But we are not there yet. We are not at the stage that an AI is as smart as humans, and therefore cannot develop a conscience. So how can I always bring this example. So if you were Mozart and you went out of your house and walked down the Salzach and slipped on a pile of dog shit and fell down and you were angry, and then you go back to your home and get to your piano and start to compose, and this anger is still in you, and you translate this anger into your music. How on earth is an AI supposed to be stung by a bee and transfer this into his artwork or its artwork or some other emotions that you really experience? If we got to the stage of an artificial general intelligence and then come to an artificial super intelligence, meaning that this artificial intelligence develops a conscious, the end game would be like that the artificial intelligence has the human brain more or less rebuilt, because you know exactly how the human brain is being built. That's not a problem. You just cannot rebuild it yet. But what if you had rebuilt the human brain, and then artificial intelligence could use that, and nobody knows exactly what happens then. But then the artificial intelligence might have a conscience, and then might feel. How should an AI translate I'm feeling cold? Does an AI yet, and still artificial general intelligence, cannot describe the feeling of feeling cold, putting your hand into an ice cold bucket of water. You know this feeling, and then you could translate that. How is an AI supposed to do that? Because it cannot feel. It doesn't have a skin, and the skin doesn't have connections to the brain, to neurons, and so on.
Till, I've read your article about AI in film. And even though I think I can understand, could you summarize your main views on using AI in filmmaking processes? Like, as you said before, scripts, actors, effects. Like, what do you think about using AI in film?
I think you should use it. I'm totally in between the total hype and the total apocalyptic view. I'm in between because I'm pragmatic. It's there and it will not go away. And it doesn't have to go away. But in order to control it, you have to use it and you have to know it. And it gives you lots of chances. I mean, in the pre-visual thing, even though if Tilly Norwood won't even be able to come close to your actress then to perform, you still can like pre-visualize your film and can show an audience the film would look like this. This is kind of my vision. And all of a sudden you can really create big visions. And with visual effects and so on, you can start to, you give filmmakers a chance to get a broader audience, produce more quality by using AI without having lots of money in a way. So I use AI a lot. And the thing is, you have to use it, but consider it as an assistant. Don't consider it as a tool from my point of view, because a hammer or a screwdriver doesn't tell you, put me here, put me there, use me not as a hammer, but use me as a weight, or use me as a reflection of the light.
Or use it as your own brain. You shouldn't use it as your own brain.
No, it's kind of it's kind of assistant. You have to control it. He offers you things, and lots of those offers don't work. And you, as the master in this case, decide what is good and what is not good. But he can do a lot of work for you, offering you things, compiling things for you. But you have to be in control because you are always smarter than the AI yet.
You're in contact with young filmmakers, right? Yes. Do you think they use it as a tool, or do they let it?
That's also subjective, but my experience, this is the experience that I have with the film community here in Austria, is that the traditional filmmakers kind of reject AI yet because they think it will take away their jobs and will take away their art and their craft, which is nonsense from my point of view, because you still need the art and you still need the craft to instruct the AI to do something. If you prompt to an AI, because there's always this translation language in between. If you are a directress and you want to instruct Tilly Norwood, and you say, give her the instruction, be sad, then the computer reads sad and gives you something. But how on earth are you supposed to be more sad, be less sad, be sad like as if you lost your girlfriend, boyfriend. Be sad. It's totally different if you're an author. So prompting is kind of a translation of your inner vision. If you don't have your inner vision, and you can't translate anything, you still depend on your art. If you're an author, you write a novel, and everybody who reads the novel gets a different picture of the antagonist and the protagonist. Everyone, because it's the purpose of literature to give you the interpretation, the freedom to interpret, and so on. But prompting is not supposed to be interpreted. Prompting is supposed to tell the computer exactly what you have in your vision. And if you don't have vision, and lots of prompters, just because they can prompt and write, didn't become filmmakers because they don't have a vision. They just prompt something, what they think is a film, but is not. Only the ones who really have the craft can really translate that.
What I hear from you is that if you want to be an actual filmmaker, you cannot depend on AI. You can use it, like work smarter, not harder, but you cannot depend.
Not at all. I mean, if you're a camera person or a lighting person, if you know how light works, if you worked it in the analog physical way, then you can prompt a lot better than somebody who doesn't have any notion about light and just asks the computer, give me a light scenario like this, or give me a light scenario like this. The best that he or she can do if she doesn't have any experience with light is copy things. I've seen this film, do it like this. But as a camera person, a lighting person, you can really have in your mind, okay, we do the lighting like this from this film, but I alter it because my vision is the light in this constellation. And this I can prompt to the computer because she did it before, or he did it before in reality.
Okay, let's move on to the societal impact now. When I was preparing for the interview, I think that was, I don't know the answer to this question, and I was really looking forward to asking you this. Do you think creators are losing their jobs because of AI?
It will be harder, but basically it boils down to one thing. Average will be deleted by AI. Average will be taken over by AI. If you do another copy of Sound of Music, AI can do another copy of Sound of Music. So if you are not an artist with an original vision, then AI will replace you. Why on earth should I hire a crew or an artist which only relies on things that already existed and doesn't bring any creativity from himself into the thing, when an AI does the same thing for a fraction of the costs, in a way?
So the answer is yes, like creators are going to lose their jobs.
Some creators, the uncreative ones, the average ones. And the other ones won't. This is the point. Up until now, there's lots of average, and people really lived good from average. If you go to advertisement, like there were agencies who sold clients advertising campaigns, which everybody looked upon and looked at and said, okay, well, so boring. But the client was satisfied, the agency was satisfied because it was the way of the least resistance. And this worked in a way, and they earned money from that. Now, a client can say, okay, ChatGPT, give me a campaign, blah, 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 pretty boring. Okay, ChatGPT offers you 10 campaigns, which actually are average. And then the client says, okay, I have a son or a nephew who knows about Runway or Sora. Could you compile me a film from that? Okay, we'll do it. And no agency, no production company, nothing. But if you really want something original, this is this thing. I mean, the Sonophilia Institute or whatever, the Karajan Institute was very proud that the AI could recompose Mozart, like 200 or 300 pieces, and one was good. But they can only reproduce what Mozart did up until now. Maybe Mozart would have gone out and listened to some, I don't know, street musicians, and all of a sudden got the inspiration, bam. This is something that misses in my art. And
So, because I also read we're changing a bit the topics, but I also read your article about the AI band. I don't remember,
Yes.
Velvet Sundown.
Velvet Sundown it was,
Yeah. So, also in music and in film, I understand that AI can generate something that has already been made.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay.
That's the point.
So you don't think it's authentic?
There's another aspect. I mean, I'm a little bit older, and I've seen or heard a lot of things, and I can relate to, okay, I've seen that, I've heard that, and all of a sudden an AI composition comes to my ears, and I say, okay, I've heard this a million times. And like younger people who didn't hear that, like I was in this AI film screening, and the people right next to me, left to me, said, okay, that's so cool, that's so perfectly executed and things. And I was like, I've seen every one of those images before. It's like a total copy of very average image films, very average stories. Like there was a vampire story, and I said I could like mention 4 films which really must have been the basis of this AI composition that there was. The people right and left to me didn't know that. But I also think the speed at which you can produce those things will also oversaturate this. So people will, at a certain point of time, say, "Okay, I've seen this before," because there were so many films, and at a certain point of time, you don't have the luxury anymore to say, "Okay, people didn't see that, so I can excite them with boring stuff." So. Yeah, I could follow.
Okay, I understand. No, but I follow. I understand.
Okay.
Do you think there should be regulations regarding AI in filmmaking?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in America, for example, in California, I think it's already forbidden to use AI actors. The big thing is this copyright thing, because again, an AI can only use what it finds. It cannot produce it by itself. It can compile. And if you as an artist, like for example Picasso, and I invented the Cubism, for example, or punk, I invented punk music. In our days, I put it online, I feed it to Spotify, and if you are signing up with Spotify, you agree that Spotify trains its AI on your original song, and you agree that the Spotify can remix your song with other songs and offer it. Meaning that as soon as your original and you give away your original thing, your creative artwork. In the earlier days, it was like copyright protected, and nobody could really take it apart and rebuild it. Today, this is possible, and this is kind of what we really need, like a copyright thing, so that the ones who really come up with original creativity are being rewarded, and the ones who just copy. Actually, they shouldn't be able to copy. Exactly like this, and yeah.
Do you think that there should be regulations regarding using AI in script writing? Because I think this is why the writers in Hollywood in 2023 were protesting about.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, if you're really a script writer and you come up with something totally new, like for example, Christopher Nolan's Memento, where the story was not really told linear, but in time jumps and so on. At that time, it was cool. You saw it, and maybe you try to copy it yourself as a human. Today, the AI, if you ask the AI, write me a very unusual script, and it will offer you something like Memento and all the other scripts that he has access to the AI. It has access to the AI. So in script writing as well. And the thing is that what really annoys me is that lots of those scripts are totally boring. And I imagine, like for example, take 28 years later. There was 28 years later. The script was a total compilation of things that I already seen, like Apocalypse Now, Colonel Kurtz, the one in the Skull Temple, and so on. And the whole thing was kind of a reproduction of successful scripts that I've seen, read before. And I was kind of a total boring thing. I see and I understand, because it really has milestones that were successful, and it was a compilation of successful milestones. But in the combination, it was boring, and it was kind of a repetition. And this is what happens with script writing if there are no regulations. I mean, again, you can produce average.
So I guess there should be regulation when it comes to ideas producing.
Exactly.
But when it comes to polishing the script, it's okay.
Yes. Again, you use it as an assistant.
Yeah.
And the AI polishes your script, and you have the creative control if you are creative, and say no, say yes, or adapt what the AI gives you. When I work with an AI, gives me something, and then I notice, okay, it works pretty well, but something is disturbing me, aspects that the AI cannot come up with, and I take it and rework it, and then publish it in a way. So I'm in the control. And again, what you said is pretty important. The idea becomes valuable. That wasn't like that many times. I mean, everybody said creativity is kind of supposed to be rewarded, and creativity is the basis of everything. But it didn't really reflect in the financial rewarding of creative ideas. We are at the point where creativity and the idea is something that is really valuable. If you have it and you sell it, then try to acknowledge the idea as something really important, like logos, for example, like BMW has a simple logo, or the Deutsche Bank logo, the square with the bar in between. It's pretty simple. Everybody could have done this. Yeah, but nobody did except this agency. And to come up to this, try that. And this is a very simple idea. Nobody really said, okay, we spend lots of money for that. That's a simple idea.
Okay. Till we're reaching towards the end of our conversation. And my last question for you would be, if the artist is an AI, do you consider the resulting movie or art to be authentic art? In other words, whose story is it?
That's a difficult question. The first AI image that was sold, it was a portrait of some person from a imaginary family tree, and this was sold at Sotheby's for £400,000, I think. The thing was, this money went to the artist, but actually the artist just made the AI do it. And basically the AI was actually originating from an open source code from an artist group who put this open source code online, and this other artist used this open source code and produced this image and got the money. And the group said, okay, the money belongs to us. Some people said the money belongs to the AI. It's a difficult question.
Let's focus on filmmaking. If you use AI in filmmaking, whose story is it?
Well, actually, it's supposed to be yours. Because, as I told you, you alter it. You don't accept what the AI gives you 100%. If your vision resembles also existing visions all the time, and everybody sees that the AI did it because it's not your original thought. There's a meme online where an artist says, okay, the AI asks the artist, do you want to make art? Yes. What do you want to do? A painting. And the AI produces a painting. Yes, now I'm a painter. You want to make a movie? And the artist says, yeah, okay. Yes, as keyboard, and the AI produces a movie. Then it's not authentic. My point of view. You still have to have the human touch in there and your individual vision. If you just copy, then it's not authentic, and then for me it's not art. And it doesn't even move me because I've seen it before and I don't want to be bored with redundant stuff.
Okay, I understand. I guess if AI is not used as an assistant but as the producer, the final product is not going to be, it won't move us, so it's not authentic art.
Not at all. I mean, I encountered this lately with a music piece, a music compositions AI on YouTube. YouTube drowns in AI music with AI music videos attached to that, German rock music, German historical rock music, one piece after the other, and it's perfectly executed but totally boring. It really misses, in a way, the feeling, and you notice that. But it's executed pretty well, like on demand. Give me a music piece with a medieval topic, heroizing a little bit like Rammstein or whatever, and the AI produces that. Why? I mean, I do have the original bands and so on, and just a copy of the copy, and you hear that. Velvet Sundown, for example, the band that I mentioned.
I listened to it. We've heard that before. I think it was very...
It's pretty nice, but actually it's just a copy of existing bands, and after a while I say, okay, more than one album from Velvet Sundown is maybe okay, but after the second album, I'm not interested anymore.
Okay. Till, thank you so much. I think we've reached the end of our conversation, and I think for me it was super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and sorry that I
course.
talked so
No,
much.
no, it's
because
interesting.
It's a very
I invite you here to talk,
Intense
so thank you
topic.
so much. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who's watching. See you again on another episode of Art Uprising.